Yeah, Fury against Usyk, the heavyweight champions of the world will fight to decide who is the undisputed king of the division. There's not been a unified heavyweight world champion since Lennox Lewis reigned supreme between November 1999 and April 2000. Former two-time world champion Carl Frampton joined Drive yesterday to give his prediction.
I mean, a draw is not a bad shout from Gareth. I think you can make an argument definitely for both guys, and there's a chance that it'll be that close that there could be a draw on the card. But I've been picking Fury the whole way through, and my mind hasn't really changed. And I think the shape that we're seeing Tyson in, looking lean, I think he's going to be aggressive. He's going to be on the front foot, and I think that's how he wins the fight.
Joining us now to look ahead to the fight is talkSPORT Fight Night presenter Gareth A. Davies, who's already in Saudi. Morning to you, Gareth.
Good morning, Gareth.
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Ali. How are you?
Yeah, we're in great form, mate.
Gareth, just before we move on to the fight itself, I've got a text here from John in Cornwall who says, once again, John Fury lets the side down. Is this just a stupid promotional stunt to get people talking? Is it?
Well, it could well be, because what was an ugly fracas, the altercation, was kind of there and then gone and over in a minute or so. Obviously, there were hundreds of journalists on the mezzanine floor of the very opulent Hilton Hotel as it happened, and literally dozens of cameras, both YouTube, internet, and TV broadcast cameras. And you know what happens with these things, guys. You've both been around the sports world and broadcast worlds. Well, I want to say for centuries, but that's probably a little bit. But you know, much has been made of it. John is a very passionate character. I've got an interview running with him today in Telegraph newspaper. It's running later on. He a very passionate guy, and when his sons fight, his passion boils over at times, and he's irrepressible. It did go beyond the boundaries yesterday, and he suffered in a way because he cut his own head. He'd been butting heads with another guy just before that happened. It is an ugly scene. These things do happen. It wasn't quite as bad, maybe, as you mentioned Lennox Lewis, and Mike Tyson and Lennox Lewis had that altercation, the melee at the Hudson Theatre in New York that delayed their fight in the early 2000s, when he ended up getting hold of Lennox Lewis's leg and biting it and being fined 280 grand for doing so. It's never a salutary sight to see these things, but like you say, and as you hinted at and maybe alluded to, it just ends up selling the fight more, and I think that's what's happened, even though it's splashed all over the papers today.
Gareth, tell me, and I apologise if this question sounds kind of mad, but I'm looking at Fury, and he looks a completely different animal to the one in his recent fight. I mean, he looks leaner, he looks mentally more on top of it, he just looks more like himself, right? But the question I want to ask you, he looks in fantastic condition, but is there a case to be made he could actually do and be a little bit heavier? Because a lot of the experts like yourself think he could, when I say overpower, he can get a hold of Usyk and kind of bully him a little bit. Would that contradict that?
Well, as Carl Frampton mentioned there in that little clip you ran of him, I've gone for a controversial draw in this first fight, believe it or not, because I feel like their styles may end up nullifying each other. And I think half the people may feel that Usyk's done it, half the people may feel like Fury's done it, and maybe one of the judges will score it a draw. I take your point, and I think it's very well made, and it's one of the astute things to notice. I sat with Tyson Fury yesterday, a couple of feet away from him, and he does look in incredible shape. Very sharp chin on him, very little tire around his belly, which he sometimes carries, and he's probably just around 19 stone. And I like him when he's about 19 and a half. Yeah. So does his father, by the way, and a lot of his team. But he does feel very confident. He looks healthier than I've seen him for a very long time. But you make that point very well, that in the sense, Usyk, who's going to be just under, probably going to be about 16 and a half stone, he should use his weight advantages on him. He should throw his 1-2 and lean on Usyk. He may be able to beat Usyk up, but I just have a feeling, and as I say, your point's very well made, I just have a feeling that Fury may try and put it on him, but Usyk's footwork as the cat, he may be difficult to pin down. I'm going for a controversial draw. If I was forced to pick, I'd say Fury by late stoppage or points. But I just think this is going to be a very, very close encounter.
I think we're all looking forward to it. How do these two really regard each other, Gareth? I mean, do they dislike each other? Do they respect each other? Is there any relationship?
Well, obviously, one of them's a silly sausage, according to Tyson. And because I did an interview with Tyson, exclusive interview earlier in the week, and he said, all I want to do is, okay, if I can say this early in the morning, get paid, get laid, and get back home to Morecambe. And I just want to beat the silly sausage. I don't care about legacy. He cares about all of these things. He really respects Alexander Usyk. I think it goes back to Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield, who I've interviewed both in the last few days. They just want to be the top dog. Usyk's won the Olympic gold. He's won the cruiserweight crown and unified all the titles at cruiserweight. He's beaten Anthony Joshua twice to win 3 of the belts. It's the ultimate accolade to be undisputed heavyweight champion of the world in this sport. As you both know, it was once called the richest prize in sport. And it kind of is in this fight. £116 million purse, 80 million for Fury, 35 million for Usyk. I know, I can see you both shaking your heads.
We are.
But you know, these are the guys at the pinnacle of their sport, and the Saudi Arabians are investing like they are in football and golf and snooker and all those things at the moment. I think Usyk really respects Fury as well. I think they have to, because they are both the two most skilled heavyweights on the planet. I think there's deep respect for each other. And as Lewis and Holyfield told me last week, we didn't really trash talk each other. We just had an arrogance in believing that we wanted to be the number one because it's the ultimate prize in our sport to be the undisputed.
Gareth, looking forward to it very much.
Can't wait, mate. Can't
Indeed.
wait.
Thanks for joining us.
Cheers, mate.
Absolute pleasure. I'm off out to have a swim in the sunshine now.
Enjoy.
We're going to do the same. talkSPORT, of course, will once again bring you a free watch-along on Saturday's fight. Head to our boxing YouTube channel.